Hey everybody, it's Shark Scrapper. Now you all have seen me pick up ceiling fans on just about every single one of my street scrapping videos. But one of the things that we have never very clearly addressed is what's the best way to sell the fan? I mean, we're going after the motor, that big round part there. But where do you get your best value for that? So, what do you say? Let's dive in and take a hard look at it. So here you have the basic sellable component of a ceiling fan. It's the ceiling fan motor. The decorative shells, the fan blades, I'm not including those in this discussion. This is all about what makes most value for us. Selling this as a motor or selling the copper that's in the motor and the shred metal separately. So let's go ahead and weigh some things out and find out for sure what's going to get us our best value. Now we're going to start out with just the weight of the motor as you see it there, and that comes out to be 6.38 pounds. Okay, 6.38 pounds. That's our starting weight. Now before we get all the way into that, I know there are probably some folks that are saying, well, what if I left it in this case and took it in, like that as a motor? I would get more weight for the motor. I do not believe that your yard is going to let you do that. You'd have these two clamshells here, all right, that would go around this motor. And your yard is going to be smart enough to know that that's just extra shred that they're paying you for. They will probably send you back. You're not talking about a lot of extra weight, so I wouldn't even mess with it. It's easy enough to take off. It's 4 bolts, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bolts that pull this off. You can even beat it off with a hammer. So, I wouldn't go through the trouble to upset my yard. Just go ahead and take that off. And now we're dealing with just a no kidding motor. I've got a stopwatch ready to go. Hopefully we can see the stopwatch while we're doing this. I'm going to go ahead and start it. We're talking about minutes here. I'm not going to get too wrapped up about minutes and seconds because it's going to vary with each one of your motors, condition of your blade, condition of your battery. Watch your ears. All right, then we can pull the motor out of the vise, give it a little twist. Now I like my rock hammer for this because I can give it a whack with the blunt end to loosen things up, and if it feels like it's a little bit stuck, the pointy end can help do the rest of the job. I even let it fly out like that on purpose because what I find is that when it hits the deck, that force tends to bust up the rest of it for me. So it falls apart into the metal. I pick those up, and what are we looking at? 1 minute, 14 seconds to break it down to this point here. All right? Now, let's go ahead and take the next step and get it in here. Now I'm going to go ahead and stop the clock on this one. Well, no, you know what? Let's be fair. Let's let it run because this would be normal. At this point, we would be coming over here to start preparing that wire. And we get these out of the way. Each motor is going to be a little bit different, so you never know until you get in there what you're dealing with each motor. All right, and that's going to be, you can pull the wire out of there and call that and add it to your wire bucket, or perhaps you leave the wire in there and throw it in your insulated copper wire. These are compound edge cutters, so they're multiplying my grip. There are a lot of ways to do this. Okay, you've got no shortage of things, and your own imagination is going to give you plenty of ways that you can go ahead and do this. I have tried, and depending upon what mood I'm in, I will use different techniques myself, right? So I have a Dremel. In fact, here it is right here. So I've got a Dremel. I put a cutoff blade on the Dremel, and then I cut it. I have a 4-inch grinder, and again, just use a cutting blade and go around. Now the problem with the 4-inch grinder, because it's bigger, it will force me to do kind of more diagonal cuts instead of cuts that are straight across. I don't know that one technique is any better than the other. I'm showing you this technique because for the vast majority of you, this is a tool that is easily accessible to you. They're not terribly expensive at the hardware stores or Amazon, eBay, you know, just and they come in different sizes. But you want to look for the compounded edge cutter because you can really wear yourself out. Even with the compounding, after a while, you'll wear yourself out doing this. So you get the compound one, and you're really saving a lot of your energy. All right, I'm pretty sure I've cut through each of those. Now we flip it over. I have a nice big flathead screwdriver that I can use to pull these out. And I may want to reweigh, so let's dump that load and get a new load going here. Normally I just keep throwing them all in the same bin as I'm working my way around here, because I'll save these and then I'll do a few of them at one time. As you can see down there, I've got a bunch that are waiting their turn. And usually for me, what I'm doing is, if I get bored working on computers, because, you know, you can burn out working on computers all day, every day for the week. So in order to keep things a little fresh and a little fun, I'll have non-computer days. I have to do that anyway because I do deal with more than just computers anyway. So, you know, I'm just throwing some around here. Don't get sloppy. If they get stuck like that, just go to the next one. It just means it's caught up on. When you get the other one loosened up, you usually can then just give it a tug. All right. The inner ones sometimes can be a little bit challenging because with that flathead screwdriver, the blade is a little big, and then I can just go to my rock hammer here. Rock it back and forth. That nice point just works its way right in. It's got some good weight for leveraging. Now sometimes if you don't cut all the wires through, you're going to get that hair kind of thing coming up. No big deal. You know, you're going to maybe miss a couple wires or something. It's not the end of the world. Depending upon the size of your vise, you can, just rotate this, clamp it so that you're getting the hub, and then you can rotate the but see, then again, I tried to do that. Now it's loose, so it's going to cost me more time here. So let's just go ahead, get you tightened up again, and just work me around the thing. Again, there are so many ways to do this. You'll see no end of examples in the different scrapping channels. People have created their own tools for it. I'm trying to just use tools that are relatively common to the average scrapper. You don't have to try to make it yourself. You can just go get something. Now this rock hammer is actually easier to find than you think. If you go on Amazon, look for rock hammer. I think they are also called Slater's hammer or something like that. I saw Everyday Solder's got one that looks very much like this. But it's the one with the pointy end, not the bladed end like the brick hammer. All right. Don't get worried about it. If it doesn't pull out, that means I probably didn't cut that all the way through. Not a big deal. We can fix that right away by just going at it on this side. And there we go. All right. Pull out any of the loose wire that's still hanging out here. All right, so there's our wire now. And there's our piece of shred. Right there. All right, so what did that take us to do? $9.54. All right. You might get through it faster, you might get through it slower, but we're going to go ahead and say it took 10 minutes to do all that prep. Because we're doing an example here, right? We're trying to decide how much time we spend versus the value that we're getting out of it. For some people, that's an important consideration, right? Time is money. Your time is valuable. And for some people, it's a question of, is it worth me spending my time to do this, or should I be doing something else? Now, depending upon how your yard allows you to sell them motors, you may get away with selling this just like this as you took it off of the fan. You're right now, and I'm just going to use the prices that I can get from my yard because, it'll be relatively the same. So there's that's one way that I could sell it as a small motor, and here's how much I would get. The weight times what they would pay me. Okay, now let's look at the case where we have pulled the copper out of the rotor. So we're selling shred and then number 2 copper. In that case, what we're looking at is this. So you end up with all of this for your shred. And then you end up with this for your copper. And then we can do the math and we can say, here's how much I got for the copper, here's how much I got for the shred. And when we add those two together, we end up with a total of $2.55 for having sold it as copper number 2 and shred. Well, I have to admit, I'm kind of surprised the way the numbers turned out. Selling it as a copper motor without doing anything to it other than taking it out of the fan housing, I would have gotten $2.17. Or I can put 10 minutes of work into it and and get $2.55. So that 10 minutes of work netted me 38 more cents. All right, so that 10 minutes of work gets you 38 cents, or that's $2.28 an hour. I don't know anybody that's willing to work for $2.28 an hour. So your immediate kind of response here is, all right, I'm just going to sell the motors, which might be a very viable answer. If you want the cash flow, then yeah, just sell the motors, get the cash, put your cash to work. Now, the alternative answer is, if you think that the value of copper is going to go up significantly in the future, in that case, you're going to stockpile the copper. Now, you're banking on the value going up significantly because that stockpile of copper only has so much value, and it's actually costing you money while you're hanging on to it. So you really need to think about where you think copper is going to go before you make the decision to break down these motors. I really look forward to all of your thoughts and comments. Where do you think the value of copper is going? Are you breaking down your motors, or are you selling them to get the cash now? If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the links for more of my e-waste and scrapping videos. Have a great day.